Witness the great ish of N Mc Bunda ish. Witness the great ish of N Mc Bunda ish. Witness the great ish of N Mc Bunda ish.
I think my biggest fear, not really a fear, something that I really wanted to do myself, because I realized that when you're growing up, whatever age you hit, you download societal information that's supposed to make you normal. When you turn 18, you start believing that you're independent. When you go to 21, you start believing certain things. When you're 25, you start feeling like you're starting to chase life now. When you're 30, you feel like you're supposed to have it, got it together. When you're 35, you feel like, okay, cool, now I'm reaching that age where I'm going to be dying. When you're 40, you're like, okay, cool, maybe I should do the things that I was supposed to do when I was young. They call it whatever crisis. Those are things that we talk about every day, that it becomes a norm in the realm, and we download whenever we get to those ages. It's not normal.
And the 18 one is caused by people just saying, not for sale for people under the age of 18.
That's what I'm saying.
It pushes that, when I'm 18,
it's a lot of things. It's not only just that.
What's up, people? We're in the issues, yo. In the issues with the ish himself, yo. In the issues. You get me? We're gonna do the memo, Vele Maui one, yo. We got Chuck Da Gangsta, guys. Before everything, I'm here with Nelejah. Yeah, I'm born. Hi, you don't born here.
Leave me be. Leave me. Today I'm not.
Kokii, yo. Coco.
Hi, what it do?
So, yo, guys, we have Chuck Da Gangsta. Before I introduce, obviously, I'm gonna introduce you. I pop, you get me? For y'all who came to my first show, because I still have one show that I did in my life. The first show that I did, he was the plug, yo. I remember when I went to him, I just booked. He was like, just tell me the date. I'm like, it's done. Yeah, it's done. I'm like, sure. So I'm gonna have a show. Like, yeah. I'm like, okay. You get me? So this was the guy who plugged me to the guy, Ronnie T, but you're gonna see him very hence. Put him a rota and issues. So, yo, let's get into the issues before I pop too much, because it's not about me today.
I pop.
Chuck man, Chuck Nuka, Chuck Da Gangsta. What's up, Chuck man?
I'm good. How are you, King?
The best.
I'm blessed. I don't think I have anything to say after that.
But at least give them your name, your name, where you from, and issues. And we're just getting in, Vele, your name, where you from.
Okay.
And issues.
I'm Chuck Da Gangsta, Antoine Kasi Dori Venda. Yeah, Yeah, we out here.
Mapungupye. Riva Kasinti. So, yo, tell us, because me, I'm your friend, yo. So, Seni,
yes.
I'll be because I'm your friend, so I can't interview you. Hence, you gave me an issues. But
we can do this.
The issues from you being a child, and how did Chuck came to be Chuck? Because he was Tom.
Did you hear that?
Yes.
William Shakespeare Suzu.
He was Tom. So I want you to tell us, man, how you came.
Well, Chuck again, I was born in Pretoria. My mom.
Oh.
Yeah, I was born here. Yeah.
But you know that's Sodomic, man.
Nah.
Well, Pitori, what side? Is
Yeah,
it on the Centurion side or Social Movie side?
There was some squatter called J. Cole or something like
Okay.
that. Yeah, Jack Jagalas. You know what I'm saying? But I can't remember anything about that place, because then I went home when I was 5 to my grandmother in Dori Venda. So that's where actually the man was made.
And I hear mostly very Dori.
Yeah.
So now the word sounds familiar.
Yeah. Dori is the village where it's a bitter you know what I mean, story a little bit. You know, when my grandmothers and their people were being chased away from
Must
a
be a
farm.
prince too.
Yeah, yeah.
Guys, man, this guy's royalty.
That's
Yes,
another story for
sir.
another day,
Wanna be
but
the queen?
yeah.
You can be
Hey again.
Yeah, life happened. You're right, life happened. You know what I mean?
Right. So when
Yeah.
it comes to your music, because like everybody gets a name from somewhere.
Yeah.
So Nelejah would probably come from me mixing something with something because it's something I like with somebody I love. You
Oh,
know.
it would.
So with you,
Yeah.
where did the name stem from when it comes to your music?
So the name Chuck has always been there. So Chuck came around when I was like 12.
Yeah.
I started, actually 9, I started experimenting with music.
Okay.
And then I asked my mom to buy me All Stars. Everybody that I used to look up to used to wear All Stars.
All Stars.
Yeah, you know what
The
I mean?
gang
So it's
gang
like,
comes in.
my mom, that's the first thing that I asked for, and my parents could give
Yeah.
me exactly what I wanted.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And then the name Chuck just stuck from there. I never worn
Oh,
any
Chuck
other sneakers
Taylors.
from Chuck
Oh,
Taylors. You know what I
yeah.
mean?
You
So-
even watch
See that,
Chutney, that
see
guy
that.
who used to kill people.
Oh my God.
Chuck
like,
Norris
That's
and,
not
and
Chutney, it's Chucky.
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 Oh, just
Oh, yeah, nah. By the time I actually watched Chucky, then the nickname was already there.
already in. All right.
So we didn't even know of any other Chuck except Chuck Taylor.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the thing is, Chuck Taylor was those kind of sneakers in where I'm from. If you have
It
an
was
all-star, you're certified. You know what I mean? So,
You the ish. The girls, they just, Nyamunyaka hola.
Okay, so when you got igama lika Chuck,
Yeah.
did you like at the time? Did you know hore, like music is actually what you want to do?
Not really, not really. But there was always that interest. I never thought I would be a musician. I just thought something in music. I was that kid who used to love music. But I think when I started being like 9, 12, when I was starting to rewrite, because how I learned music was actually listening to other people and rewriting what they
So you
wrote.
started also
And then
writing-
actually, that's where I learned the structure of writing songs.
On 9.
Yeah.
Damn.
12,
Damn.
actually, I was doing stuff like that.
Yes,
Yeah, so I would sit on headphones
Yeah.
at home listening to Oliver Mtukuzi
You're a cheese boy.
and actually just rewriting everything. So I had a friend who was actually Sean who can translate.
So you had earphones at the age of 9.
Yeah, my parents
What year
made
was
sure.
that?
That was 1999.
You had earphones 1999.
Yeah, my parents were
way-
working for white people here. So
by
they
the
could
way,
get
the
those
voice of God wasn't there by that time, eh?
What?
I wasn't alive, by the way, when you got headsets, by the way. Yeah.
So, wait, sorry. So which means you're a cheese boy, you actually.
Nah, not really. So let me tell you the story. I'm glad that you said
99,
that.
yeah.
I'm glad that you say that. So my parents did all they could to make sure that they provide for me. My mom is a domestic worker. My dad is an electrician. They actually work for the same family.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So every like holiday seasons, I will come to Joburg.
Yeah.
So I think that's where me seeing a little bit better came from and actually having ambition. I didn't understand what they were doing it for because it was boring. Like I would be just going with my dad to work or my mom. I never used to play with anybody because it was, you know what I mean, in the
They thought you were
south.
authentic.
You know what I'm saying? So I've always been by myself. You know what I mean? But then when I go home, it's reality. You know what I mean? We're struggling. My mom and my dad are good with money. You know what I'm saying? You give them 3,000, they can make it look like it's 80,000.
They're pissed off. They're
You
pissed
know what I mean?
off.
So they always tried. My mom's mission was always she wanted me and my sister's life to be the best she can do. So whenever I asked for something, she will always be like, yo, I can't do it now, but I'll figure it out. So headphones and a stereo was one of those things.
Power to you, mama. And it's August, Women's Month.
Yeah,
Happy
yeah,
Women's
shout out
Month.
to
Yeah.
moms. Shout out to moms.
She's.
But, and
Yeah.
Chuck, one thing I want to know is I've been emakaya, ne? And there is no source of motivation. You understand? Motivation is I'm not generalizing or anything, but people that I've met when I'm done with school, shop right.
Yeah.
When I'm done
Facts.
with school, spa.
Facts.
When I'm done with
Get
school,
married.
you understand?
Yeah, facts.
So what was your source of barking motivation and encouragement of saying, yo, I want to be something that in this area no one is. You understand?
Yeah, a good question there. My grandmother, first of all, my grandmother was a key part on, who I am. She always used to tell me that my grandmother made sure, like she wasn't even shy about it. I'll be playing with other kids and she would be like, yo, don't play like that. that's a special kid. You know what I mean? She made sure that she
The
drilled it in
king, the
my,
prince.
you know what I mean? She drilled it into me. Like to a point where people will say that your grandmother spoiled you. My grandmother was hard on that. Like she would keep food separate for me only. You know what I mean?
Contrast.
She'd be like, yeah. My grandmother used, so my
Yeah,
grandmother
fine,
gave me so
girl.
much confidence in knowing that I'm special. And another thing is growing up, we never had people we looked up to. So when I used to come to Joburg, I used to watch a lot of TV. Like I used to see like your TV, all of this.
Yeah.
And I used to
Hey,
see
they
like,
were
these
make tea
people
when they
you-
were young.
Yeah,
Right.
these people look like me. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Well, why are they there? And I started on my own doing a lot of research, reading magazines and being like, okay, cool. I want to be one of the people that's going to be different from everybody else. Everybody else wants to finish grade 12, go get a job, be a security guard, or stay in the hood.
Be the
I'm not going to
society.
do that. You know what I'm saying? I'm going to follow my dream. And I want it to be something that people, because when I told people that I want to make music, people from where I'm from don't do that. They're like, what? Yeah, no. We don't. Go to school. Yeah, go to school.
Yeah.
Get a certi- You know, vendor people in education. You know what I mean? Not saying anything bad about education.
I
but
get you.
yeah, so my grandmother was very, very key in making sure that I do. And my sister. You know what I mean? My sister, again, protected me so much. So my sister will always be like, you can be whatever you want. From a young age, she used to, you know what I mean, to make me look like a trophy.
You know, with you, I would say,
Yeah.
hence you're gonna carry. I think your grandmama and your
Yeah.
sister, especially your grandmama, she protected you. I would put it like this: from the normal people.
Yeah.
You get me? Because you know sometimes when you can be great,
Yeah.
but the people that you with, they might take that greatness and like just chuck it under the.
I will.
You get me?
I do understand.
But Granny very so hore hey, hoy ngwana man, uya kude man.
But let me,
He's
like,
going
I feel like what she saw was necessarily the qualities he already had. I mean, someone can help you if you don't have the qualities instilled in you from like maybe that little bit, you know what I'm saying? So she's just like, okay, he's got a bit of a direction. You know, let me be a guideline for him, like to show him that you don't propel in that direction. You don't go together. You don't flock with the feathers. No, hold on, move one side. You know, show the other birds that I like south instead of west. You know what I'm saying? So I like the fact that you had at least had that background with you. But I don't know if you had so much influence back at home. Did you ever take influences outside, like with you?
Well, I would say influences from outside was very far. For people who are far from me. I would say
Yeah.
people I'm watching maybe on TV.
No, I'm actually talking in reference with your magazines, your
Yeah.
looking at things like that.
Yeah. A lot of people, but from a young age, I've always been I don't know. I think the word is patriotic or something. Always fighting for your own or something like
Right.
that.
I see what you mean.
So I used to never understood when, you know, we have people and then we have to go to find inspiration when inspiration can't be close.
Yeah.
So I've always looked for people, like people that people didn't even think that you can draw inspiration from. I used to like showing people like, yo, you can learn a lot.
Why
from
I'm
those
referencing this in like why is like Mapunda found like inspiration in you and you're like far, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Even though yes, and it's like a glimpse of him, like you know, catching him in your space, kind of did that. So what I'm asking is, so
wanna
just someone
echo that.
environment for you like that?
Oh
you know,
yeah,
into
nah. There's
you like
been a
that?
lot of people. There's been a lot of people. One of the people, I think he knows him, Crystal Harting. You know what I mean?
Hey, you once mixed my.
Crystal Harting is when I was on my quest of being a
Yeah.
sound engineer, I came across Crystal. Crystal is the best engineer, let's say, in Africa actually. You know what I mean? So
The pioneers.
he opened the door for me where he didn't have to. You know, that's when I started realizing how the universe actually works. There was things that I overstressed about because of where I'm from. Be like, who's gonna open a door for this village kid? You know what I mean? Am I supposed to actually be here?
Oh.
And to come running and not even hit the door, somebody just opened the door. You know, it feels so good.
That was a
You know what I mean? So Krista is one of those people.
Shout out to Crystal.
Rodney
So-
is one of those people too. Rodney is just a pure heart. You know what I mean? I've met people, I've had friends. I'm not really big on friends. When I tell you, I do brotherhood and sisterhood. You know what I mean? That means then, even if whatever you're gaining from the friendship disappears, you're still gonna be there. You know what I mean? Because
That's how it is.
Yeah. So Rodney was one of the people who, he's a pure heart. He's not gonna lie to you. You know what I mean? He's gonna tell you what it is. If somebody talks about you, he's gonna tell them there that
like,
you're not
yeah.
supposed to do that.
Eish.
And he's gonna come and still come and
So going back to what you said, you don't do friendship, you
Yeah.
do brotherhood or sisterhood, siblinghood, basically.
yeah, family.
So yeah, fam.
That's why I call my people kings and queens of fams.
So, have you been betrayed before?
No.
By people.
I think from my grandmother's raising me, my grandmother made me aware. She always used to tell me, and I don't really like saying it because it sounds really, if you get it somehow, it sounds wrong. She used to say, never expect a lot from people.
But that's a good thing, to be honest.
Yeah.
She prepared
She
you
used
for
to
the
be
world.
like, okay, cool. Because she used to be like, a lot of people, whenever I meet you, I'm starting from a cup that's empty because I still want to learn. She's like, nah, give everybody 100% because they're human already.
Exactly.
From there, you're not going to have a problem with anybody else because you're not trying to figure them out. Whatever they reveal, they're going to reveal themselves. You know what I mean? So another thing was like, there's no friendship without, personal benefit. You know what I mean? Even if it's a good thing. There's always
still a
that
bit
thing
of
that you
personal
want,
benefit.
even if it's conversation or you like the same things. and stuff
support
like that.
or whatever.
So when you take that away, is that friendship still going to be there?
Exactly.
That's what I'm talking about. So whenever that happens, if that person stays, it's family. You know what I mean? That means we have gone over through our friendship, we have learned each other, we have gotten mad at each other and actually forgave each other. It's what brothers and sisters do. You check what I mean? So, yeah.
I hear you making a reference to all the people that have contributed to the person that you are.
Yeah.
But like, have you ever found yourself feeling like, yo, now I'm alone? Like, maybe you felt like you relied too much on those people,
Yeah.
and now you found yourself in a space where you're being forced to now be Chuck on his own. And how did you deal with being in that kind of space?
Yeah, so when my grandmother died in 2009, rest in peace, good question, that's it. That was the time that happened. So when my grandmother died, I just graduated grade 12, actually 2 years after graduating grade 12, still trying to find myself. My parents are forcing me to do another course. I don't want to do that, I want to do music. So it was really a confusing time. The one person I could talk to was no longer there. Not that I can't talk to everybody else, but my relationship with my mom and my dad was, I love them to bits, but I only see them in very short spaces of time. Like at that point, I was only getting to a point where I only see them in December. So we never had that close bond every day talking. My grandmother was that person I grew up. So yes, I've once found myself, I think that point, that's when I actually learned a lot about myself and actually starting to ask myself questions because I was then with my thoughts. Things that my grandmother would actually make feel a little bit better. I had to analyze and reanalyze. And some of the things that I learned was I was actually keeping a lot of things down there because the joy of being around my grandmother and what she used to do for me actually masked all of that. You know what I mean? But yeah, that process was really difficult process, but if I had to do it again, I'd do it again.
So when did you realize you wanted to do something else other than music? Because everybody just wakes up one day and it's like, I'm 9, I want to do music, and that's that. But you've also gone into the behind the scenes of what happens with music, like videos and stuff like that, and also adding onto your educational aspect of things. As much as you were like, okay, education isn't key, there is a part of you that mainly branched into it, even if it's just in a sense of teaching somebody or you branching into it. So what other things did you find yourself into other than music?
Yeah, so music really exposed me to a lot of things, like you say.
Yeah.
I found myself meeting a lot of people. But one thing that music actually made things clear for me was just business. Understanding business, So when I was young, when I was telling my parents that I wanted to drop out from school because I wanted to do music, if they did allow me to do that, I don't think I would be here.
All right.
I would have made a lot of mistakes. You know what I mean? So they understood what they were saying, but I didn't. So just ownership of things, being able to understand that there's a bigger picture. Because my thing, to be honest with you, my career, I still look at it as an experiment. That's why I'm very DIY. I'm very do-it-yourself kind of like guy. You know what I mean? Because I am learning so much for myself so that whoever I pull with me, I've opened that door.
Okay.
That's what my career is all about. That's why I tell people I'm not willing to fail in my career. A lot of people will be like, yo, you release a lot of music. I'm like, yeah. This what I'm trying to find out. There's something. I'm like a scientist when I'm sitting here.
Trying to do.
Figure out why is this happening? Why do that's why even with music that I listen to, my playlist can go from listening to music in India to Zimbabwe to Angola.
Yeah, but say you're an
I just love
extraordinary talent, I see.
You know? And one thing I think that made me really love music, because again, in that period when my grandmother died was the period when I was actually being taken to boarding school.
Yeah. Oh.
Music was the only thing I had.
Yeah.
And also,
I could sense
better on
it.
the music, cause hey, you know, mostly on your music, especially like your EPs and mostly on your projects that you have released. I would sense most of the time, man, hey, you embrace women, especially like you queen them and
Yes,
them
Yes.
in the songs, like you embrace them in that way, like
Again, coming from a family of a lot of women, you know what I mean? My family is dominated by women, and I grew up listening to women, and you know them saying basic things like how we as men sometimes overcompensate, or sometimes we just don't embrace the fact, you know what I mean, and knowing how to speak to women. You know our culture. Venda culture and Sangha culture have this thing of trying to make men very
like
masculine.
we say,
you know what I
don't
mean?
say anything.
You do
don't
this. If she doesn't do this, if she speaks, I was like, because I was, so I used to ask my mom and my sisters and all of these people who are married, like, yo, do you guys like that?
No.
And they're like, no, we don't like it. Then I'll be like, okay, cool, I'm not gonna do that. So I would be like, my dad is like, I'm like, nah, that's not, they don't like it.
They went that way.
You know what I mean? So me and my dad will be like, yo, but that's what men, I was like, nah, I'm trying to, I'm not trying to live life through somebody's lens.
Exactly.
I'm
This is
trying
my
to figure
perspective
out
right there.
myself so that I can be like,
It depends.
yeah, you know what I mean? That dash in between when you were born and when I needed that to be, my experience. And if I can actually make it, I don't want my kid to go through the same thing that he went through because of ignorance. You check what I mean? So I don't want to do that.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? So women are very, very important because the thing is they hold everything together. Even if we try as men, make it what it is and be toxic about our egos and everything, we will never survive.
Indeed.
We'll never survive. Trust me, I grew up with women who was holding, my mom was my dad. My grandmother was my grandfather. I've never mentioned my grandfather because it was never there.
Exactly.
Check what I mean? My sister was standing in front of guys fighting. That's when I saw a powerful woman. When women love something, they will do anything.
Why
know
are
what
you
I'm
looking
saying?
at me like that?
Because you fight for people's rights.
I do that too.
Yeah,
Because
so
that's what I feel like. That's what genuine people do. You know what? If you're surrounded by genuine people, we do not look at gender. Now we're looking at you touched my sister.
Yeah, that's
you
what
touched
it
my
is.
brother. That's it. Now it's
And then the arrogant people, they're like, legend.
Shaya bona bo legenda. Legenda le. Shaya bona.
Yo, Chuck, man, because I wanted to tell these people, because, like, hey, you know, me, I talk a lot, Pena. They must know, man. Hey, this guy, guys, you know, idols. They want to set up the stage of idols. FIFA World Cup, when I get over.
When I get there, it's not, you know what, Marama Punda, your language. You just make your own language. What I wanted to know, and I still haven't gotten an answer to my question. You know what? The thing is, I'm into intellect. So when it comes to your, let's put music one side, right? You now, I'm looking at the aspect of academics, right? You're a person who's branched into a world of academics.
Yes.
And I want to know where the love of wanting to teach people came from. You know, I know that you were plunged in the deep end, you know what I'm saying, with no floaty. They were just like, boom, go and do it, but
To be honest with you, you know, I only realized a couple of months back.
Yeah.
You know, between January and I think March, May, I went through a unplugging moment where I stopped everything. I stopped watching YouTube, social media, everything.
Okay, went off the
I
grid.
really wanted to get deep with the questions. And I wanted to see if I'm going to survive with my own thinking. Only thing I had, again, was music and reading books. But what I realized was I've always been that person. I've always been the person when if I learn something new, I like showing another person that this is possible.
Okay.
But I never used to realize it. So, universe again. The guy, Crystal Hutting, one day, let's go in class. And then he leaves after 2 minutes and it's like, do class. I'm like, whoa, wait.
No floaty deep in.
I don't even have notes. First time. I don't even have notes. I don't have anything. It's like, yo, you're going to be taking over this from now on.
I love it.
Why?
Deep in.
I just graduated, man.
Like, yo,
If you do someone to like when you
right?
like right?
Yeah, I still, for me, I felt like I still needed him to stay there with me and guide me. But again, that moment, that situation there, it made me grow so much. It made me realize that we sometimes tend to, downplay ourselves.
Yeah.
Because we always feel like somebody needs to help.
Yeah, we nyata ourselves. man.
Yeah, so once you put in the moment, you realize how powerful you are. Because you always come out on top. You're here, you're sitting here. There's been things that happened in your life. And you questioned your worth and like how, but you're here. So that moment when I look at it, I was like, damn, it's like being pushed in the ocean. And they're like, yo, we know you're going to make it. You're going to struggle a little bit. But you're going to fight for your life. Because
Exactly.
you're a fighter, I see you. So
It's
that's
part
what,
of the process.
On that, oh sorry, I'm so
No,
sorry.
no.
On that note, nah.
Yeah.
Obviously, you've been exposed. Okay, like you said, they let you lecture your first class out of the blue.
Yeah.
You've set up stages for idols.
Yes.
I mean, FNP, maybe it's in 2010 World
2010
Cup.
World Cup.
Yeah.
That's like the world now. So
Yeah.
you're exposed to all these big people.
Yeah.
Like, didn't you ever feel like, oh my gosh, I'm drowning? Or like, did you ever feel like maybe you're not worthy of being here? Or like, like how do you overcome? Yeah.
Yeah, good question. You have some really, really good questions.
By the way, she does.
Yeah, you hitting me. Sir. So what happened was, all of those things that you're talking about, my first gig that I ever did as a sound engineer was Kefa Seminya. And Thandiswa Mazwai was there. That's my first ever, me being on stage doing a live gig. I got to go to Zambia, spend 6 weeks with the president. You know what I mean? I've done those things. If I tell you, you might think this is happening in a space of like 6 years. That was happening in a space of 3 years.
That?
That's how much work I was doing. To having lunch with Paul Simon and Ladysmith Black Mambazo. That is in a space of like...
Bro, retire. Like,
So what,
Klima.
So what she's saying is actually true, because I will find myself standing, for example, at the Summer Awards on stage just before the rehearsals, and I'm holding the mic and I'm questioning myself, like, what did I do to be so lucky, to be here? And then the ego kicked in, the ego always kicked in.
Yeah.
So I started feeling like, ain't nobody who can tell me nothing.
Yeah, I don't drink tap water. I drink bottled water.
What are you trying to say? What are you trying to say? You know what I mean? Come on. You know what I mean? I have people who have won Grammys who probably remember my name. You know what I mean? So I was like, that happened. And then what happened was, again, I don't know. I think I just have this superpower that is a weakness sometimes. I'm very, very good at like detaching from situations and looking at them from from far, and not even actually include myself emotionally and analyze and be honest. So I had to do that, and then I quit my job. Like it happened like this on a Sunday. I was sitting. I was like, nah, man, I'm losing the purpose of why I'm doing this. My ego has taken over a lot. I'm doing this to show people that I can do it. The love of it was no longer there. And what was happening was the artist side of me was crying. When I used to go to these stages, instead of seeing myself as an engineer, I started seeing myself, I should be on that stage.
The outside view.
Yeah, so it brought this envy in me of like, whenever I go and give these people
It took out the
microphones, it left in
perseverance.
me, you know what I mean? So the artist side of me was fighting, like, yo, you're no longer being creative. What's going on? I want to come out.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So balancing those two things were a problem. So I quit my job.
It was
I was like, out.
home.
I went home to the village, forgot everything,
And-
let's restart.
And when you get home, it seems like I actually chose.
Of course, that's what
We are
everybody said.
defeated.
And I wanted that. I'm that kind of person. I wanted that. Because that for me is the biggest fuel. I like that. Because if you put me in that position, I'm always going to win.
Yeah.
That's what it is with me. If you put me in that position where you actually doubt what I can do, I'm here because of that. That's my superpower. So when I went home, I knew that was going to happen.
So, one thing I want to know is, because I also go through that, nah? What was that one situation that made you feel like, you know what, I'm done with this. I'm not doing it anymore. Accounting, engineering, I'm done with this. Was it a person or a situation that led you to that?
Yeah, I wasn't really done with I still loved sound engineering. Don't get me wrong, to my heart, to beats. I was still actually at home recording and actually mixing music.
Yeah.
What I was done with, okay, I'm going to be really, really honest with you guys, right? The industry that I was in, mostly people who were in the industry were not the same color as me.
Yeah.
I'm sorry to say it like that, but it is what it is. You know what I'm saying? So I was finding myself working with a lot of people who are not the same color as me. Some people's ideologies I didn't understand. And the way I was looked at and the questions that I used to be asked because of my color sometimes used to be like, but they don't get asked the same questions. You know what I mean? So it's one thing. I like...
To your mind?
You know, I like, you see, like knowing you, right? I know your skill before I actually know your life. I'm that kind of person. I don't really care what you think like or what you do. I need to know your skill. So in this industry, I realized that a lot of people didn't really want to know my skill. They wanted to know who I was, where I'm from, why am I so lucky to be here? Why is Crystal Hatching the best guy recommending you? You know what I mean? What did you do to be here? And I ain't do nothing. You know what I'm saying? The universe actually opened the doors. You know, from just the dream, from just, I just want to be that kid, the universe opened, you know, the door. So, you know, dealing with that is the industry was a little bit rough for me. I dealt with some racism in the industry. I've never talked about it. I think this is the first time people are going to hear about it. Yeah, because you guys, you know, bring that free spirit. So I never spoke about that, but it's a thing. You know what I mean? Even probably Krista, if he watches this, which he's going to do, he's going to see this and be like, yo, I didn't know, because I never told him to, because he's not that kind of person. And I didn't want to be like that kid who's crying, to be like, yo, why are they treating him? Because for me, I didn't care. I was the guy when I was going to a show, I'm going there to do what I have to do. But the problem is these people were finding me and trying to make it a problem.
Even though you're a positive person, it's very difficult to keep
the
your
best
head
thing
up.
to do was to remove myself from the situation, because I was going to become toxic. It was going to get to a point where I was going to start telling people, yo, you can't be talking to me like that. You know what I mean? You can't be talking like, because I am very, when it comes to the history and everything, everything is like, it's a sensitive topic. So I don't want to get into it. Let me remove myself from the situation. Because again, I'm that kind of person whenever, if I have a confrontation with you, when I go home and analyze the confrontation, I'm not trying to figure out what you did to me wrong. I'm trying to figure out what did I do in that situation to escalate the situation like that. So I always try to blame myself first. You know, always. I try to find what did I do, what can I improve. Even if you step on my shoe, the first thing is like, okay, even if I retaliate by trying to, why am I retaliating by trying to beat you up? You know, in the hood, I grew up with guys who sit in the corners, and when you look at them, what are you looking at? You know what I mean? And I'll be, never used to understand until I watched, I think, who did I watch that interview? I think it was Jay-Z's interview. It's like, yo, you got to understand, those guys are being aggressive because they hurt inside. When you look into their eye, they feel like you can see the sorrow inside and the weakness and the cry that's happening inside. That's when my perspective kind of like changed.
So then, you know how, I don't want to make it a race thing. But we see it amongst our people. So when your dreams are like, too unrealistic for them. Or maybe if they were to see themselves in that position, it's quite impossible for them to even, you know. So obviously they're going to start trying to speak fear into your plans, your dream, especially since you're from like a village. So how did you deal with all the noise and...
Again, the noise, like my grandmother used to tell me, you know what I mean, don't let other people's thoughts of who you are actually make you that person. Because they actually, my grandmother used to like, my grandmother was very philosophical, if I have to say. She would always say that people are like a mirror. They reflect sometimes. So when people see a distortion in the reflection of the mirror, that's when they start shining all of these things, because they can't see, like you say, they can't see themselves in that position. So it used to hurt me a lot, you know what I mean? Because I never used to be the kid that fit in. Funny enough, when I'm in Joburg, I'm this vendor kid. When I'm at home, I'm this kid who's, you know, fortunate. You know what I mean? Even if I'm, like I said, you know what I mean? We had what other people didn't have. That's what I will say. I'm never gonna say no to that. My grandmother, my granddad, my father, my parents actually worked for us to be at that position. That's why I always tell people, you know, there's this connotation when people say you're a cheese boy that you're supposed to feel bad about it. Like, I'm not feeling bad. My parents did what they're supposed to. My dad didn't finish school. He finished at grade 4. but he's an electrician. He
At that
actually.
time, grade 4 Pela was the high English.
That's standard 2.
Yeah,
That's standard 2.
You were going to like grade 2. Oh, you
That's
go
standard 2.
And that job was the cheap. At that time, like 5 rand could buy a car.
You know what I mean?
It was
But
£5, but-
like I said, my dad is the guy, and we're DIY, doing it myself. If you actually look at my career, everything I do, I try by all means to figure it out myself.
Yeah.
I think because I have more time by myself, because I can, for long times, I can chill for a week by myself. So I like figuring things out, because I saw my dad. I never remember growing up at home and my dad is calling a repairman. Never remember that. He used to do it himself.
You the man, next shot.
You know what I mean? So I learned from that. I learned from that. So that's why even if there's a problem, even if I'm taking something to be repaired, by the time I get there, I'm telling you, this is what's wrong with it. I just need this to be replaced.
You know,
I'm not going there and be like, yo, I don't know what's going on. Can you please figure it out? Yeah, so that's my life has always been that. Like, figure it out.
And I want to ask something, like, adding on her question.
Yeah.
When you go to Valley, you know, sometimes when you grow up, people, when they don't believe Valley, because they don't think like that.
Yeah.
Because also with me, with like fitting in, it's like I cannot even sense myself growing up. Because at school, I would tell people, I mustn't famous. Because already, like,
You
when
could
I
feel
being a
it.
young kid, I already knew me, I want to be like that.
Yeah.
Like, I want the TV. When I watch the TV, I always saw my, like, I'm going to be there. It's like,
Yeah.
last time my mom once said, like, I used to want to, like, force myself inside.
The TV, yeah.
Like, I want to get inside.
Yeah.
You get, but now when you tell people, it's like, they're like, hey, you, man, stop, like, dreaming and issues.
It's not for people like us.
And then, like obviously, it would, like, you know,
Of course,
hurt me and issues.
of course.
But still,
Of course.
I would, like, you would, like, still go. And then, like, now, you see, like, the kind of people that you told that, and they do Verera, and they are going Verera. And then, did you get some? Hence, because, you know, sometimes you convince people through your hustle. Because you're going to tell me, I want to be a billionaire. That's for white people. You get me? And then they see you being a billionaire.
Yeah.
So to get some people, hence, like, now you are big, you get me, for me, you're a pioneer.
Yeah, well, thank you.
One
You get
time.
me? So to get people who really, because there are people who like, you'll never get it. But when you get it, they are the same people who like, yo, bro, how did you do it? You get me?
Oh yeah, those are your biggest fans, bro.
Yeah.
People's minds are created to protect.
Yeah.
So them telling you that sometimes is their way of showing love because they're trying to protect you from disappointment because they see themselves being disappointed.
And also they were honest too.
Yeah, they're being honest. It's just that they don't know how to actually really voice it out. It's like hate. You know, if somebody watches your guys' podcast,
Hate is love, ne?
yeah, if they go and actually
Exactly.
scrolls and watch it and analyze her and actually go and comment, they love you.
Yeah.
If I didn't care, I wouldn't have watched it.
I've even said this many times before. You should never be offended if somebody spends 5 minutes of the day discussing you. They could be discussing stock,
love you.
money. They could be discussing money, but you're discussing me. I'm on your lips like that. It's beautiful. But I wanted to ask you in terms of racism, right?
Yeah.
You know, you get into the music industry. Like, I'll deviate away from that. Where did you sense the most racism? And when you did, how did you handle it? Because you get people that retaliate because it's like, oh, I've been through apartheid and everything. They go back into the mental, sort of
Mental prison.
stigma that we had back
Yeah.
then, the mental brainwash. So it's like, how do you branch away from that, showing that, you know what, I'm just here to do my job, you know what? And it's in not how you, like, take my job, it's in how, you put level of professionalism to put my job first before you view me as a certain person. But I feel as if, were there any sort of barriers that you faced in terms of racism when it came to just the color of your skin?
Well, I think the most racism that I experienced was mostly not really people blocking my way. It's impossible to do that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm that kind of guy that...
I don't say blocking, but in a way, you know how people are like, brush it off in a sense.
Yeah.
They wouldn't take you as serious as they would.
That I got. I got a lot of... And you know what? You know what? It's again, I am that kind of person where I've lived through a life where I was really being negative with my thoughts.
Okay.
So I got to a point where I always try to analyze I've gotten people who I walked in because the band called me. And I could see by the way they're looking at me, this kid is not going to do what this kid is supposed to be doing.
Also, actually,
And you know what happens? That's where the gangster came from.
Yeah.
That mentality switch in, like, oh, I'm a gangster, you ain't going to tell me nothing. I'm going to show you what I do. And 99% of the time after the show, those people probably come back because they're forced. Because they can see everybody, they're forced to be like, okay, cool, that was
You did a good job, man.
I look forward to that. So that was one thing that I used to really look forward. I look forward to being that kid in the back. That nobody feels like, nah, he's not gonna do anything. And then let's get into the field. They'll be like, oh, wait.
That's that kid?
Who you are? Because
That's
I've
that
been in
kid?
places where people are introducing each other and everything. You know how people are. Because I'm not really, I'm not trying to convince you that I'm the best with
'Cause you know
conversation.
already.
I'm not trying to do that.
I'll show you.
Yeah. I have the skill. I know I have the skill, and
show
I'm
you.
confident enough. I have the skill. I can do it. So I tend to not talk a lot, and people tend to, especially when they hear that I'm vendor. Oh, he's vendor. Okay, vendor. Again, that's another stereotype.
You don't look.
No, the stigma.
Yeah.
yo.
So I'm like, okay. So that's why when
Yes,
I was in the
look.
industry, when people ask me, I will never answer that question. I would be like, I'm a sound engineer. Yeah, they'll be like, yo, where you from? You know what I mean? What's your surname? I'll be like, yeah, I'm a sound engineer. You can call me Chuck.
Finish.
That's what we need to do. Yeah, but I need to know. I'm like, yo, I do understand that you know me, but I'm here to work. Let's do work. You know what I'm
the
saying?
students.
Let's get to know each other by work, because me and you are probably not going to be friends after this. You know what I'm saying? If people are not willing to be honest with situations. People are not. It's like the same thing at work. I keep on telling people at work, like, you find me in the passage and they come in and complain. Yeah, this is everybody at some place where they work, they complain about something. It is a norm. You know what I mean?
Whether you love the job or not.
Yeah.
So I'm at that point where I tell people straight up, like, yo, I don't really want to participate in that. You know what I'm saying? It has nothing to do with me. People are like, yo, but yeah, maybe you're getting special treatment. I'm like, if I am getting special treatment, it's because I am special. You check what I mean? I'm not scared of that. You know what I'm saying? Because I know that I do my work. I know that I am dedicated to what I do.
So I just want to come into your artistry space, your art space.
Yeah.
What do you reference or what do you go through, like, especially when you pick your song names? Because I saw them and I was like, yo, this nigga,
Yeah,
this nigga goes deep.
that's a
And so-
journey, actually. So one school holidays, December, I think 2018, actually 17, 16, my niece failed Chivend and she passed English. See your reaction? Someone reacted. So everybody in the family didn't react the same. Oh, she can speak English, we good. I'm like, nah.
Excuse me.
Nah, why can't she speak Chivenda if she's getting to Chivenda at school? Then I went back and listened to my music. And my music was a lot of English. And the things that I was talking, it wasn't things that I was actually teaching my niece. And you know what? What actually hit me is whenever I had her singing one of my songs, and she was saying it word per word. I was like, oh, I have this impact on this person. How many of these kind of little ones do I have impact in? That's why I started actually going back in my history. If you look at my album names, track names, I reference a lot of like African kings, African kingdoms, because I felt like our history, a lot of people, when you say history, if you go in the street right now with a microphone, which you should do one of these days, go and just be like, yo, history. Everybody's going to be like apartheid. That's where our history is.
Yes.
But that was just a gap. Now. History was now. Our people were actually processing gold before machinery. They were making jewels before machinery. They knew about grills. They knew about crowns. They knew about minerals before apartheid. I believe that even if apartheid didn't happen, we would be here with all of that we have. We would have invented all of these things.
Exactly.
We are that smart.
At our own pace.
Yes, and you know why? What would be the greatest thing about it? The greatest thing about it would have been that we would have considered everything because we were one with nature. We're not just going to go and take plastic and oil and everything. Our pace considering, okay, cool, if we need to make a camera, what's the most effective way to make this camera without worrying about having to use plastic? And I do believe. So my music is based on that. Trying to tell the young kids that, yo, when you read history, go beyond apartheid and see that your people were smart. You are smart. You are those people. You check what I mean? So, because I look at it like this, 50 years from now, 60 years from now, 100 years from now, we are the ancestors. We have to have our contribution. They're not going to understand Amabeshu from that time. We need to make this our history and actually feed in so that our kids and our grandkids can actually, have history. Because now, if you ask a lot of like young guys from my 1990s all the way up, a lot of people can tell you history. And they don't realize that themselves too are creating history. But it's being distorted.
Exactly.
Because it doesn't have connection. Because, you know what I mean?
And also to add on that, because to show that, like, going back to the hill before the apartheid, if you could also check, before everything came, because obviously now like there's even modernized issues, you get me? If you could even check the lifestyle, life expectancy, like, is it right, eh? Life expectancy, right? Like
You're on point,
Yes, yes, you're on point. Don't worry
so,
about it.
like, you could check. Most of our grandmothers, like, especially, let's say, your grandmama, maybe when she passed on,
Yeah.
the years were, like, kind of...
Yeah, no, she was like 98.
98?
Yeah.
Our grandmothers together.
You get me? And,
It's at the times,
like,
guys.
now, in these times, we pass on fast, like, maybe 60s.
You have to
70s,
understand we've got,
because,
like,
wait, because we would...
Exactly.
Like how they ate. There were no junk food. Like Amazimba. They ate from the ground.
Yeah.
They ate everything. Like you get me? It was natural. And you could see, because my grandmama, when she passed on, she could run still.
Yeah, of course.
And she was like 76. She could still run. And I was like, what? But checking how she ate, she would maybe eat meat maybe once in 2 weeks.
Yeah.
And then like I saw, like, these people, but now when you come to us, eat vegetables or eating, like, but I'm not blaming us. I'm just also saying like the intelligence of it, also their life and issues.
I just feel like that problem is a very, very bigger problem. I feel like the problem first is the fact that we don't have food security.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In what way? Yeah.
So the first thing is like, okay, cool. If you really go home at your fridge and open your fridge, how many of those things that are in the fridge that are you producing at home?
Yeah.
Everything starting from a tomato you probably bought.
Yeah.
So you don't know where it came from, first of all. It has to be preserved some way for it to last the way it lasts. If you know a tomato, you've grown a tomato, you know. It's like, you know what I'm saying? So the first thing is the fact that you have a lot. One thing that actually made me do what I do. You have my friends who are graduating from high school, intelligent guys who are coming to Joburg to be security guards to earn 1.5 and pay 500 for renting a squatter camp. Go buy the same tomato that's rotten, half rotten, and they have land at home and water at home. They can eat. You've been to Guyana.
Like,
you never sleep hungry. You never sleep hungry.
So
sometimes I think it's a paradigm shift of just the mentality of understanding. My people have land and they have cows, but they still go to the butchery in town, 67 kilometers away, to buy meat.
It's what Nelejah said in the last episode. Ne? She said, the problem is we want to live a rush life, which I describe as a microwave life.
The red race.
Just put it in, zzz, done.
The red race.
We don't want to cook life.
We're chasing time.
Exactly. Young Tol.
Chasing
So I think those are the types of more artists. We need more artists like you that actually tell us how we're supposed to be living.
Yeah.
But at the same time, the enemy here is, I'm not taking anything away from them.
Yeah.
The marketing industry sells to you that, a microwave just makes popcorn in 2 minutes. A microwave makes meat in 3 minutes.
Yes.
Stuff like that, you understand?
Yeah.
So I wouldn't blame our people as such, but it's the marketing. Because you see a billboard, it's McDonald's.
Yeah, but why do you feel like you fall for the billboard?
But then it's like, the thing is, you have to understand, marketing is a whole psychological game, right?
Yeah.
This is what they do to you. It's even in our Instagrams, it's even on our Facebooks.
Yeah,
it's the color.
everywhere.
The notification has to be red.
Red,
Why can't it be pink? Why can't it be black?
Yeah.
Because it has to pop at you, you
Yeah.
know?
It's
So
like
what
street
happens, the
signs.
same thing with food.
Yeah.
They give you they tempt the temptation, basically.
Yeah.
So they put the meat in front of the temptation. It's like, come talk.
And
So
they
it's
do-
like that. So it's the same thing with food. It's like, why would you go and harvest it yourself when you can get it packed at the store?
and
You know what I'm
they-
saying?
something,
Come
you know,
here.
So
You know what I'm saying?
and you know what? I'm not against getting it from the store. Here's what I'm thinking. Okay, cool. Let's have those stores in our hood where they're coming from the same factory. You know what I'm saying? The same way. They packaging everything. We can do the same thing. Like what you're saying, I understand artists talking about it, but it needs to start being action.
Exactly.
A lot of us, you know what I mean, we're not looking at the value chain. In South Africa, if we're talking about economy and everything, you look at all the industry in South Africa, there's only one industry that's close to being owned by black people, and that's the tax industry. But it still pays a lot of money to the
the
industry
white-
because they're buying taxes from Toyota.
Exactly.
You check what I mean? You know, so we still have that problem where even if we have Batu and we have Drip, which we congratulate and we therefore, which factories are actually making the materials?
Exactly.
You check what I'm- That's where we need to start thinking. So our kids in school and us in school are not getting taught that. We're getting taught to be laborers.
Sheep.
We're getting taught to,
We're getting
to
taught to be
follow.
Oh my
sheep.
God, Nox, remember?
Yeah, you check what I mean?
Remember what she told us? She was like, before that time in terms of apartheid, she was like, mostly in most of the schools, they would teach them like education, vele, and also the hand life skills.
Exactly.
Yes.
So that when you go to the world, you have the education.
Yeah.
No, you have the education and the
skills.
practical issues.
Yeah.
You get me? But now it's all about the paper, but not the hand. And
And
then when
it's
you get a
worse
job,
now.
you can't apply.
Because you have to understand, right? Keko even said it's a system, right?
Yeah.
The system starts off from a very young age. The brainwashing has to start from an age where it feels normal when you fall into a sheep-like mentality.
Yeah.
So if you fall into a sheep-like mentality, whatever everybody else is doing, I'm going to be comfortable doing. So nobody's going to want to start a farm if 500 other people are going to a shop.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like, even if I start this, are they going to really
Yeah.
support me and see the vision? You
Yes.
understand? So humans are so used to having things easy. Hence
Yes.
why there's microwaves, hence why there's cars. We
Yes.
want to get through things quick. It has to happen now for us. We don't want to see it like,
There's no
pan out over
perseverance.
time.
Yeah.
It's the same thing. So
Yeah.
it's the same thing like with dreams and food. It's like
Yeah.
one and the same. It's like if I don't do it because many people are doing it, I'm not going to do it.
Yeah, yeah,
You know?
societal norms.
Yeah.
It's I think my biggest fear, not really a fear, something that I really wanted to do myself. Because I realized that when you're growing up, whatever age you hit, you download societal information. That's supposed to make you normal. When you turn 18, you start believing that you're independent. When you go to 21, you start believing certain things. When you're 25, you start feeling like you're starting to chase life now. When you're 30, you feel like you're supposed to have it, got it together. When you're 35, you feel like, okay, cool, now I'm reaching that age where I'm going to be dying. When you're 40, you're like, okay, cool, maybe I should do the things that I was supposed to do when I was young. They call it
Literally.
whatever crisis. Those are things that we talk about every day, that it becomes a norm in the realm, and we download whenever we get to those ages. It's not normal.
And the 18 one is caused by people just saying not for sale for people under the age of 18.
That pushes that's what I'm
it
saying.
pushes that, oh, when
Yeah.
I'm 18, shooting him
Yeah, it's a lot of things.
And
It's not
you
only
don't
just
think of
that.
your issues.
If you look at policies, when you go and take a policy for life insurance and everything, that's where all of these categories are coming from. That's where we're actually getting this. So it's a deep system. When you go and actually say you want a life insurance, the first thing they ask you is your age. Of your age, then they're gonna decide what you can fit into. Oh, you're 25. Okay, cool. You're still gonna grow up. Or you 30. You know what I mean? I went and actually took a policy, and I'm like, okay, cool, I'm 30. I want a policy. It's a R1 million policy. This lady actually said to me, was like, yo, why would you do that before you even get married? I'm like, yo, I want a life policy. It's like, oh, do you have a kid somewhere else or something? I'm like, nah, I don't have a kid. I just want the life policy.
Yeah.
I realized what? Black people and death is a very, very strange
Hey,
topic.
but insurance
it's a
is
guarantee.
too-
It's a guarantee. One thing that's going to happen to all of us, when we get born, one guarantee is you're going to die. You know, so this life insurance and policies and all of that, we should look at it as ways to actually elevate generational wealth. My niece is 6.
Yeah.
I opened a policy for my niece. By the time my niece is 18, that policy is going to have a lot of millions. She doesn't have to worry.
Yeah.
I'm going to die. Everybody's going to die.
But Chuck, my thing is, fine, I believe insurances, nah?
Yeah.
Even my mother has worked closely with those people, but I always thought that it's a scam. I'm not yet convinced enough.
Of course.
It's a thing of, because my thing is, I get covered for my car.
Yes.
Nah?
Yes.
Or my house is covered, or
Yeah.
my business is covered.
Yes.
And then something happens to my business. And on the contract clause, the clauses say, yo, 1, 2, 3, you're gonna get your money
Yes.
and all those things. Fine.
Fact.
But when I get involved into an accident or there's a robbery and all those
There's
things,
underlying things.
yeah, the insurance comes to me and say they want to justify why can't I get the money.
Yeah.
But when you advertised it,
Yeah.
you said to me, yo,
That's why I said
I'm gonna cover you.
life insurance. I'm not insuring houses and everything. They always have all
Life.
of those things. Life, when you die, you die.
Yeah.
There's no you died like this, you die.
There's no ways they can
We want
steal
our
that
man.
400
Yeah,
per
we
month
want
of
our
yours.
man.
Yeah.
You check what I mean?
Yeah,
Generational
they have
wealth.
no chance.
And to like add on, especially I just did this because we were like, yeah, this one is like, but if there's one thing the death thing. And like, yeah, no one knows this. I don't know, but I told someone for the first time this. I don't know if I was telling Sani that most of the time when I'm like every week, I do think about death. I mean, like, every week, like especially when I'm cheating, I would die sometimes. Every time and issues, you get me? Like, and then like I would just think like, oh, imagine if I die, people are gonna cry, baby. But but another thing, when I think about death, it makes me also make sure that I must live right as a human being. Because also in like Proverbs, there is a scripture that says, the person who thinks about death is more wiser than the person who thinks about just happiness.
Yeah.
Because now you know, you can also like prepare ahead. Because now when you think about death, you know, like right now, when you go, like there must be something that's gonna be generational. You get me?
Yeah, of course.
And then like, sorry, like you know that there must be something that's gonna, cause like anything can happen. You get me? Hence I say, besides the generational wealth, which you, for example, this is your legacy. You get me? With me, I would say you taught me. I mean, I've always wanted to do music, but when I meet you all taught me the business side.
Oh, wow.
Like I didn't, like I knew that business, but with me, to be, me being as an artist, I wanted labels. I'm a label. Obviously, there's even a mixtape. I'm like, shout out to me, I'm about to blow up. There's like, I'm getting this, I want to be discovered by the labels.
Yeah,
but when I met them,
that's
I someone took labels out. Shoo. I'm like, nah, actually, we don't know. Because they showed me the rules, like, yo, you can, this is like the apples, and this is what we do. I'm like, what? So you go into the label and issues. You get me? So like, in a way for me, I feel like that's also the gift you would share. Like when it comes to death, what did you do for the world? You get me?
Of course.
You left something.
Not even just for the world, the people in it. Not just for the world. Because to be honest, the world is the people. Basically, literally the earth is literally just land and trees. What we are is the world. It's just curled earth. It's like another planet. You know what I mean? So what did you do for the next person? You know, what can the next person environment about you to the next person? You know what I mean?
Just open those doors is the biggest
it doesn't have to be generational wealth.
You know.
And I personally think that I think we should change this concept of death. People shouldn't be scared of death. If you're scared of death, that means you are scared of going home.
Yes.
Because God just brought you. It's like, I always say that, we are here for a purpose. You understand? In this world.
So you see how you're looking at it? I look at it differently. For me, it's like, because I know death is a guarantee, I live every day as a blessing.
That's so true. On many levels.
I don't have to worry about I'm gonna die or how I'm gonna die. I know it's gonna happen. So every day I wake up. That's why I was telling you guys, it's like you get to a point when you start realizing that there's a lot of things that you do in life that are not really important. Once you start being self-aware and understanding that this is a journey. Once you start understanding that dash in between the day you're gonna be born and the day you're gonna die, you start realizing, I need to open as much doors, because if you come to me and ask me, like, what do you want to be, what do you want to see when you die? My answer will be like, I'm already seeing it now. So even if I go right now, I'm okay. You see what I mean? I'm okay.
I wouldn't expect to be anybody. You wouldn't expect to be anybody different if you were to open your eyes in a different realm.
I'm already, everything that I want to do, I'm already doing it. And somehow, I didn't realize until I actually looked back and the dots started connecting. Like, you've been teaching for 11 years. You've been graduating people into the industry.
You understand.
You've been doing tournaments at home and showing talent from sports. You've been sponsoring kids and buying kids shoes. With just those things alone, I'm like, okay, cool. What do you want to be? If I want to be a billionaire, it's not because I want to be the only guy with a billion. It's gonna be boring to be the only one who's rich. I want to share it with people. I want to share it with people.
One thing I feel like
I want to open people to see that, a kid from here can actually make $1 billion.
Not just that, but like, for me, you give off a genuine aura, to an extent where that's the one thing you should teach people, to be genuine, because you get people that want to be so like fake and pseudo about their personality, where it's like, no, I got to be this rapper guy because, I got to carry the ego of a rapper. But it's like, I'm going to quote like an artist, Billie Eilish, right? It's Eilish. I don't know how to pronounce her last name, but she gives off this thing where she gives her fans who she is.
Yeah.
Hence why she's loved as much as she is.
Yeah.
Have you ever seen her plunge herself in the crowd?
Yeah.
Where it's like people can hug her, people can touch her. Because everybody makes this thing of celebrities. I can't touch you.
Yeah.
Oh my God, it's because like my brother was killing me this morning where he was like, oh my God, you look at like an artist and another celebrity and you're like, you can breathe? I can too. You've got
Yeah.
skin? I do too. So it's kind of like if it's a celebrity, look at them just like that.
Yeah,
but
yeah.
give them that be yourself thing. You know,
Yeah, yeah.
people can look at you and go, I love your music,
like-
but who you are kind of stems right through your music.
Yeah.
Where even if I don't know you, I can know you through your music.
Yeah, so
really
it's adding to what you were saying about people having the mentality of blowing up. You know, I always tell people if you want to blow up, once something blows up, all that's left is ashes. Yeah, and blowing up it can happen now. You know what I mean? The maintaining after the blowing up is the problem. You check what I mean? I don't want to blow up. I don't want to blow up. I know my highs and my lows. When you have extreme highs and extreme lows, sometimes it's difficult to balance. You find substances to do it like that. But now, like you were saying, I don't want to blow up. You know what I mean? I know that it's going to take time for me to get where I want to do. Because if you want to build a big house, you have to dig the ground deeper. And that's what people don't see. The foundation is what people don't see. If you're building a skyscraper, for example, you're not just going to dig this much to the ground. You're going to have to go deeper to the ground, and that's what people don't see.
Yeah.
So I look at myself like that, even if it takes me 15 years, because I'm not building a
I don't
four-room
want
house.
to blow up, guys. I don't want
You
to
know,
blow
you
up.
know what I mean? I want to maintain. You know, I want to be able to maintain. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because if I don't want to mention names, I'm not going to mention
Yeah,
names, but
yeah,
you can
yeah,
do
yeah.
your research in the industry, you will
Obviously,
see.
it's already...
There's people who come out with a track, they blow up so much, and then now everything that's happening after that is just them, the depression and the anxiety of I'm trying to match what happens. Because they were not ready, first of all. You check what I mean? They were not ready, first of all, and they didn't understand that after that blow up, again, it's going to be ashes. You're going to have to rebuild.
There's more
'Cause
things to come, basically.
Yeah, people, nowadays with technology and everything, people move on quickly. People are quick to move on. Until the next cool thing comes out, you know what I mean? I don't want to be that. I want to be the guy that whenever, even all of these people that are popping, my name is always going to be mentioned here. I'm just maintaining whatever it is. It's going to take time, but I have to go through the groundwork. That's one thing that people don't want to do. The discipline of telling yourself like, yo, I want to do this. I told myself this year that I'm going to release a track every week. I recorded 52 tracks, mixed and mastered and finished. And then I put them on DistroKid so that every Thursday without me, even if I forget, there's a track that's coming out. Because I wanted to discipline myself. Like, people wait for record labels to come tell them, we need a package. You need to be so disciplined that you have to be the one giving the record label. Whenever we get to those deals, N Mc Bunda get that 20 million deal for 3 albums. We're giving them the 3 albums the day we sign the deal.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Because by that, I feel like if a record label has to come to you and say, yo, 2 tracks, 2 albums, it takes the artistry
They like
away
that.
from you. You understand?
They like that.
Because you're not recording a tape out of your
But you're spending money.
young tall. So, yeah, man. But speaking about blowing up and things, what's that one point where Chuck is just going to chill on the couch and say, you know what, this is me, I'm done?
I'm happy.
It's getting close. I've always wanted to go home at 35. 35 is when I'm gonna go home in my village. I feel like putting a time on it is actually a bad thing to do, but that's the gap that I put. You know what I mean? So we're developing like a production house at home. With studios, TV studios, drama studios. And for the next, after 35, the next 5 years until I'm 40, I want to give my time to schools. So I want to go to schools and actually bring back extracurricular activity, being music production and everything that I've learned and I've been teaching. I want to actually go give it back for free to schools and help schools develop that curriculum, schools where I'm from. So I want to spend that time. That's another thing that's on my bucket list. Spending that time, having that is cool. So, yeah, like you were saying, that would be ideal. Me being at home, in my studios at home, developing the community where I'm from, getting involved in business, getting involved in a lot of politics right now, you know what I mean? Being that guy from the hood who people see that you have a voice that people can listen to. You get pulled in different. So my ideologies of politics are different because I'm not fighting to who's supposed to have power. I really want the people to be developed. I want us to go beyond the mundane education that's happening at school. You see, if I can get a computer center in my hood, that's one of my goals. Actually, we're actually working on proposals to do those things. So if there's people out there, I know people who watch the issues, if you have old computers, I just want to expose kids to computers. Where I'm from, kids are not exposed to all of these things. That's I think that's my biggest life mission. So I feel like in the past months that I've been going through is just been me trying to figure that out. And I realized that I feel like I've done enough what I have to do here. And I feel like there's a voice somewhere of God always telling me like, yo, you need to go home. You need to go home.
What would be the one thing you'd give the rest of us and those who are probably interested in branching into anything? Actually, I don't want to make it into music, because if we make it into music, we're necessarily just talking to artists. We have to make it as a whole, because there's a whole new audience who watches this. I can't just say it's just musicians. So what's the life advice you could give to somebody who wants to propel in anything they do?
First of all, I would say my grandmother's favorite saying, be like water.
Sure.
Always be like water, water, whatever situation you put water under, it's always going to give you whatever you need and whatever it needs.
Sure.
You know what I mean? So living like that just means that you don't fight change. You know what I mean? Don't fight change. The universe knows what it's doing. Sometimes you just gotta let it guide you. Sometimes it's gonna take you through like really, really things like you won't understand like why. But those are the moments where you learn the most.
That's where you say, what am I learning from this?
You see that 2 years when I actually went home and quit my job, that's the best 2 years of my life.
Even
I was
though
broke.
they were devastating.
I was broke, but I was rich up, Because questions were like, why do you do this for? You see what I mean?
I see what you mean.
Yeah, so be like water. Always, whatever you touch, nourish. You know what I mean? If it's a friendship, nourish it. If you put water in the plant is going to be happy just like your life.
Sure.
You know what I mean? So nourish it. Always try to help. You know what I'm saying? And always understand that sometimes we hold on too much. If you hold on, again, with water, if you hold water, you see that if you're holding it in a still bottle, it's going to rust. It's going to, you know what I mean? And always empty the cup. Don't let the cup be full always. Always be a kid in heart. When I say empty a cup, understand that there's some other dreams that you're going to dream about, but there's other things too that you're going to be interested. I feel like people go through life trying to be very full and actually being, what can I say, opposite of multidimensional.
Okay.
Always being like this strict, I want to walk in these shoes, and then you don't explore yourself and find yourself. I don't think humans were only brought into life to be just this one thing.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? There's a lot of things that interest. So always find out and be willing to accept change always. You know what I mean? And grow.
All right,
You know what I mean? So,
Coco.
That will be.
Well, Coco's got her own things, guys. She's just taking from the conversation.
With me mostly. Don't you have the last issues?
Well, the voice of God doesn't have anything to say. It's going to rain. It's going to rain.
No, but I think he actually led us to this issue.
No, I do understand, but like not in closing. He is always, I swear, there's always 3 in closings from God. There's always, today there's 1. It's going to rain.
God today he's
hold on, Coco wants to say something.
Okay, so I'm an artist too.
Yeah.
I'm still new to it.
Oh, well.
So I've had a lot of like self-doubts.
Yeah.
I feel like, oh my God, I'm too small, or like I'll never,
Yeah.
So from today, you've actually opened up my mind to a lot of.
he leveled.
I'm allowing myself to be blessed by you, by the universe. Yes, and be put. So I just wanted to like.
Yeah. So.
Guti, if
Applause.
I'm one of the people you've impacted.
Yeah. Now we thank you very much. Thank you.
No, but
This is one thing I would ask everyone, really, is that what can you tell the kid who's gonna watch that and a parent? Because also I feel like mostly with this, I wanted mostly to grow, especially kids, young people.
Yes.
And then with parents, whichever parents that would watch this should also like kind of learn.
Yes.
Also with parents, our parents, because like parenting it's learning.
Yeah, of course.
It's learning. Even if you can be 50, you are still learning. As long as you have been, you are still.
Of course. Okay.
We are still learning.
I love this like that,
So,
guys.
what can you tell the kid who wants to make it? Besides musician, Like, cause they might be a drawist, artist,
yeah.
Or an engineer.
anything.
Yeah.
Like, cause even welding, you can
Yeah, of course,
come
anything,
from welding,
anything,
plumbing.
anything.
Like, what can you tell the kid who's not? I would say who's. I like putting it. Who's not normal? You get me? Who wants to? You get me?
Elevate.
Who wants to elevate, and the parent to understand that kid.
Yeah. So first thing first, I would say both of those two sides should listen to each other. If there's no conversation between the two, the breakdown happens there. Parents need to understand that we as kids sometimes we have something to say. And kids need to understand that everything that your parents are doing, they're trying to protect you.
Exactly.
It's what they know. You check what I mean? So to a kid who's sitting there and, you're going to have self-doubt. But one thing that you need to really ask yourself is, who am I actually doing this for? And once you start doing it for you, it's easier to deal with everything else.
Exactly.
You check what I mean? So once you go into that studio and not ask yourself, what are they going to say? And ask yourself, what do I say about this? It's going to start feeling good. You know what I mean? That's with everything else. You want to be an engineer, fashion designer, you want to be an astronaut, whatever it is, immerse yourself in it. You know what I mean? Immerse yourself. Be willing to spend time. One thing that we were never disciplined to do was because our careers were never known since we were young, because our parents were kind of like reluctant. Not all of our parents, but most of our parents wanted us to take the path, again, the societal norms. Be a teacher, be that, because it's guaranteed. You know what I mean? So one thing that I always say is, like, you got to understand that your parents too, you're teaching them. You know what I mean? Because you got to be. So instead of you relying on your parents to give you discipline, if you want to follow your dream, discipline yourself. Be the person who's willing to tell yourself that I'm not going to go and do that. Even if you know there's nobody who's going to reprimand you. You know what I mean? That one day when you're making a beat and I call you and I say, let's go to a club, your answer means a lot. You saying, yeah, let's go, we can do it. Because you're doing it for me, it's a problem. I'd rather appreciate you saying, like, yo, I need to finish this beat. Then if I'm a good friend, I should be like, okay, cool, I'm coming, I'll chill with you until you finish and then we can go out. But if I say, nah, you see, you boring me, Bunda, always making these beats. First of all, those are bad friends. Never, I always say, never allow anybody to kind of like alter how you think or your emotions. Especially be very, very guarded with your emotions, and actually conversations that you have with a lot of people. Like I said, people reflect on, if you tell somebody you're going to be a billionaire, they don't see themselves being a billionaire, they're going to tell you it's impossible. How are you going to do it? I don't have to explain how I'm going to do it. Just know it's going to be done.
Yeah. But you're adding on to what you're saying. People must also remember there must be room for mistakes. You must have a collapsible space, because you can't just go through life and expect, okay, sharp, you focusing on this dream and, of course, because you're disciplined. Nah, there's something called circumstance,
Yes.
Circumstance can be like, yeah, but you're going to make a mistake. Of course. You're going to go to that with that friend to the club. You're going to realize that you were supposed to be back at 2 to make this beat. Now the client doesn't have what they need, So you needed to learn by that time in reference to yourself. Now it's like, yo, I can't do what I did Wednesday because now I can't finish the beat. But now maybe you need to be disciplined enough to be wiser than that. To know that if I do go out with my friend, I can actually see the consequence of my actions.
And to always be gentle to yourself when things like this do happen. You know what I mean? Because we, as creatives, sometimes we tend to beat ourselves down. A day goes by without it making a beat, you feel like you're wasting yourself.
Yeah, because
you're wasting your time, or you're wasting your day.
And there's nothing to produce in the
Be gentle with yourself, you know what I mean? So we get to be too hard. Yeah, I found myself going through the same stage of being so hard to myself that I actually ignored a lot of things in life. But sometimes just we just let it go. But yeah, to parents, you need to understand that life is changing, and we want to create our own way. The younger generation want to create, even the younger ones who want to create their own way. All we just want from you guys is guidance, so that we don't make the same mistakes that you made, but we have to make new mistakes. Because new things are changing. Now we have phones, now we have all of these things that are influencing a lot of how we live our lives. So, yeah, we will appreciate that.
Yeah, man. Chuck, thank you, man.
Bless.
For hosting us in this beautiful apartment.
It's an apartment. Say it with me. If you can't speak it, don't do it. Don't you dare.
Yo, guys,
Just on the
we
British.
thank y'all, yo. We thank y'all.
Thank you,
And,
thank you.
Hey, Chuck, can you please give them your Instagram?
Yes,
Twitter?
do the things.
Oh, those things.
Even the music
It's Chuck Da
Instagram's
Gangsta.
Chuck Da
Everywhere,
Gangsta.
there's only one Chuck Da Gangsta.
Only one.
And if you're wondering about the name, I'm a gangster in the boardrooms. I'm the gangster in the meeting. I'm a gangster with academics. You check what I mean? So that's where it comes from. So yeah, everywhere you go, Chuck Da Gangsta, I think I'm the only one. You know, so just
All right,
check
so
the
And she shows guys his performances on YouTube. You're
Yeah,
gonna love them.
yeah.
Oh yes, I said.
Yeah, already there. Bye. So yes, guys,
We're
we're out.
out, yo. Think dropping mic.
Whoa! Subscribe,
Well,
pagaza,
notification.
yonke
gang,
into.
Jeez, I forget.
Pass it on. Pass it on means share it. And yeah, guys, thank you for having us, Chuck.
Thank you guys for
Yeah, yeah. Pom, pom, pom. Signing out.
really appreciate it.